You are listening to This is Oklahoma, hosted by Mike Hearn, telling stories of Oklahomans and those that have made it their home.
Before we get into today's episode, I want to tell you a little bit about our current sponsors, the Oklahoma Hall of Fame. As you well know, if you've been following This is Oklahoma, they've been a huge part of this podcast. So this podcast is presented by the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, telling an Oklahoma story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com and follow them on Instagram for daily updates at oklahomahof. Also, for the podcast, a new sponsor, RCB Bank. Since 1936, RCB Bank has offered progressive products and a friendly service. Come in today to find out more about their loan promotion on new, used, refinanced cars, boats, campers, and ATVs. Visit RCB Bank to learn more. RCB Bank, that's my bank. With approved credit, restrictions apply. Now, let's get into today's episode. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of This is Oklahoma. Mike Hearn here, your host, back with another episode down at the Bedford studio today to talk to you about some fashion. My guests are in the house to basically talk about streetwear fashion, stuff that I've no idea about, and I'm like not cool in any way of wearing stuff. I mostly wear black, but today I have decided to wear white because this is the only white t-shirt I have, because I can't keep them very clean. But guys, thank you so much for coming down to share some stories and talk about obviously your huge passion for fashion. Wow, that rhymes. I didn't expect to say that. But you know, thanks for coming down. I'm excited to dive into the story that you have and the brand that you've created, and obviously the reason behind that brand and everything that drives you every day. So thanks for coming down. But before we dive in to talk about creativity, streetwear, fashion, and stuff like that, I guess tell me a little bit about yourselves. Who are you and what do you do?
Well, my name is Tamra. I am the head designer and co-owner of Nash Fashion. Mm-hmm. I'm actually from Edmond, lived there my whole life. Yeah. And then growing up, I was always very interested in fashion. I mean, my cats, my younger siblings, they were all my first dress forms. I used to make clothes for them. And in high school, I got really into photography and specifically fashion photography. So I kind of knew I wanted to pursue something with art. So I ended up going to the Savannah College of Art and Design, where I decided to major in fashion design, and kind of from there developed my love for fashion. And it's something. Fashion is just something that's so unique, isn't it? And it's like, you know, and I had someone on previously that I was talking about fashion with. I say previously, it might have been 4 months ago. But like one of my favorite movies of all time is Devil Wears Prada. And I take great pride in saying that, which I probably shouldn't, but I do because it's fantastic. Yes. So yeah, that's just, you know, one of the awesome movies. But Juan, what about you?
Well, I'm Juan. I'm from Colombia. I went to SCAD originally. We went to the same school. I went for motion graphics. I never really had a passion for fashion until I was like 17 or something. I started getting into it, like through Instagram. I'm like, oh, I want to dress cool. Like, I always had like on the side, like, oh, I like clothing and stuff. But I mainly do graphics and anything motion. But then I started working at the gym and I met Tamra. And then, you know, we started dating and she was a fashion designer and I was like, yeah, I'm really into it. And like, you know, she was like, well, she took a class and stuff. And then I got into it more and more. And that's how my drive into fashion was.
So growing up in Colombia, I had a buddy of mine on the golf team that I played for. He was from Cali. And he's hilarious. He came here not knowing a word of English. And I mean, we're still friends. He lives in Miami now. Awesome dude. But I can't speak Spanish at all to save my life. But he would tell me things, and just I can't imagine how much fun that must have been growing up in Colombia, right? Totally opposite to living up here. But yeah, what's like fashion and creative design and kind of that side of things like in Colombia?
I feel like it's growing. It's been obviously third world country, we're behind on things, like often we're behind, but I just recently I've seen like a big move in fashion. Like people are starting to wear streetwear, and like I feel like for a while a lot of artists and stuff like reggaeton singers and rap singers have been the ones that drive the fashion, at least into like young people. But lately I've seen it grow, it's like people are learning how to style. It's
Gotcha.
like it's getting good. I feel like it's like we're catching up with like the trends and stuff. Yeah.
My vision of fashion is going to the store, seeing a mannequin and saying, I want the entire outfit, because if I buy that top, I have nothing that goes with it. If I buy those jeans or pants, I have nothing else that's going to go with it. And I'm a little older as well, so I can kind of get away with just looking like a dad, even though I'm not a dad. So what brings you then? How do you get a scholarship then to go to, or how do you come to university in the States?
Well, it's funny. I used to bowl.
Okay.
I was in like Team Colombia once, and I was like national champion. And I'm from Bogota, in Colombia. And all these things like gave me like a big status, apply for a school. And I had a friend that she was like, "Oh, we need boys in the team because the team of the guys needs more guys, and you should apply." And I was like, I applied for it, talked to a coach, and then she gave me a scholarship. I was like, "Oh, that's sick." Yeah. So basically, it was through bowling. Then I stopped when I graduated. It was just more like.
Hey, it pays for school.
Yeah, it pays for
and that's
school.
kind of. I'm from UK originally, and golf brought me here, so we have kind of the same path. So how did you get into bowling?
I was like 9, right? And my parents are like, "You're too fat. You need to do sports." And I was like, "Well, that's fine." And I played soccer because my grandfather is a like soccer player. He used to be a soccer player, like really famous and stuff. He's from Argentina. I got into soccer for a little bit, but I was like, I don't think this is like my thing. Yeah. So they took me to this like big place where like there's like a bunch of sports, and there's like
a sports
like
academy,
soccer, baseball,
kind of
basketball. Pick one, and I was like, I like BMX. I go to BMX, dude. The coach, and we talked to him, and he's like, "You're too fat. You're not gonna be good at it. You cannot do this." And I was like, "Okay."
How old are you at this point?
I was like 9 or 10. I was a chubby kid. I was a chubby kid.
Just a chubby kid. Yeah.
They're like, "You're too far. You're not gonna go fast." And I was like, "Okay." Well, I had a friend that already bowled.
Okay.
He was like, my mom worked with his parents or something, and that's how I knew him. He was like, "You should come try with me," and I was like, "Sure, why not?" And then I got into it. I was like, "This is different. Like, nobody bowls. Like, oh, what do you do?" "I play soccer." "Oh, normally everybody in South America wants to play soccer." Yeah. And I was like, "I bowl," and they're like, "What, professionally? Like what?" Yeah.
So I guess because hardly anybody did it, the good thing is there wasn't as many competitions there, and you would have when you're on a team, the coach would give you full attention because there's not that many of you. It's rather like having 100 kids to try and get down to 10 soccer players.
No, and it grew a lot because actually bowling is kind of big in Colombia now, and it's been growing. But that was the main reason. It was like,
that's awesome.
Nobody does this, so I want to try it.
I'm terrible at bowling. Mine and my wife's first date was bowling, and I'm terrible at it. I didn't decide. It wasn't my choice to go bowling. But I can't imagine you rocking up to bowling leagues now, just kind of like, who is this guy? And like nobody knows, right? And you're like, I was kind of a world champion.
I've always wanted to do that with him.
You have to do that. Yeah. The bowling leagues out here, and just rock up. Yeah. Like, I'm a bit rusty. We'll see what happens. Yeah. Like strike. Perfect game. Oh, never happened before. Wow, that's awesome. So you meet at university together. You're kind of into creativity and you're into motion picture, and then you kind of like meet and you take a fashion class, and it's kind of like the coming together of everything, right? Because now with technology and videography and stuff, you can't have high fashion without showing it off, right? So you both graduate and think like, we're moving back to Oklahoma, let's give it a go. Like how does that all work out?
Well, I graduated 2020. He just graduated a few weeks ago, so he was a year behind
Congrats.
me.
No, thanks.
And it was my senior year, January, and I got a job offer in New York City, which was kind of like
the dream,
exactly, like a little Oklahoma girl. I was like, I want to get out of here. I want to go to New York City, be a designer. So it was kind of a dream for me, especially like senior year. I'm like, oh, I'm good to go. I got a job all lined out. Well, then, COVID kind of happens and starts to unfold.
And nobody wants to go to New York ever.
I was like, no.
Yeah.
So we moved back home. I think it was like the very beginning of April because we were stuck in a little apartment in Savannah. And I was like, Oklahoma with my family in a yard or in a little apartment. Right. So we both moved back and finished up like school. And around in May, I got an email saying that they had to rescind my offer because New York was just shut down. Yeah. So kind of then we were like, what do we do? And so during your senior year of school, you work on, as a fashion student, you create a collection, and the collection has an inspiration behind it. And I chose to take inspiration from the engineering legacy in my family. I was like the only artist in my family. My sister's an engineer, my dad's an engineer, all the cousins, everyone just like all kind of, dorky
Locally
engineers.
in Edmond as well?
No, actually they're kind of spread out all throughout the U.S.
Okay.
Yeah, my family's primarily from like up New York, Connecticut area.
Okay.
And my dad moved down here. It was actually his dad had an engineering job down here, and then my dad went to OSU, got an engineering job here, and that's kind of how we are here now. But yeah, so I wanted to then create a collection where I kind of combined the analytical side that I grew up hearing about every single night at the dinner table with my artistic side. So that's where that's like where the birth of Nash was, and actually Nash is a family last name.
Okay.
So it comes from like the main inspiration would be it's my great great grandfather Louis H. Nash. He was like a famous inventor and engineer. He had like hundreds of patents on pumps and a whole bunch of different stuff.
Yeah.
So he was like what started, I guess, all the engineers in the family, and from then he started his own company, tons of stuff from there. So I took like old drawings from his inventions, actual elements from his inventions, and created a kind of technologically advanced collection, just a 6-look collection.
Yeah.
So like some of them were smart garments. This is so funny. I don't know if you know what Flex Seal is. It's like the liquid rubber. Well, I wanted to create my own waterproof textile.
Okay.
So I coated a fabric in Flex Seal liquid rubber and dried, and it made like the perfect waterproof poncho. So several garments in the collection are covered in Flex Seal. Sent it to them. They loved it. So they sponsored all the Flex Seal. They sent me like tubs of Flex Seal, a bunch of merch. Yes. They sent me like stickers, like tons of merch. It was so much fun.
Cool.
But just like dumb stuff like that, trying to push, to the next level of like technology and fashion, because I mean, a lot of people, I guess, are becoming aware of how bad the fashion industry is right now. Like it's the second, I mean, at least what I was taught in school, it's the second most polluting industry in the world.
Right.
And it's a big problem. Yeah. And the fact that we can pretty much fully automate and make cars and send people to the moon, like why can't we fix these problems?
Right.
And a lot of it is because there's no way to like automatically make garments. Like everything has to still be hand put together. Yeah. There's no way to just throw fabric in a machine. Yeah. So the whole idea of solving these problems, like I truly believe if engineers and like, the creatives were to come together, but it's like what my dad and my sister say, and like what you mentioned earlier, you go to a store and you're like, I want that. And once you like something, you're just going to get 10 different colors of that, and that's going to be your wardrobe. Yeah. So that's kind of the issue is, I feel like a lot of the people that could solve these problems are just like,
they're not
fashion. Like, we need to be sending people to the moon. We don't need to be
And it's interesting knowing your family history. Like you will probably, if you didn't have that family history, you wouldn't be interested in fixing it either.
Exactly.
Because of your engineering legacy and background, you're like, hang on a second. Like, there's part of my DNA that tells me that I can fix this.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So after, I guess, we received the news, and the senior collection was just so much fun to work on, and he had been helping me along the way with all of like the digital stuff and kind of how to promote myself. And after I received the news, I remember I came downstairs and I told my family, and my mom was just like, so what are you going to call your brand? I'm like, I never thought of myself as like an entrepreneur. I never thought of, because I knew how doomed the fashion industry is.
And
I was
this was a project for you for a school.
Exactly.
Never thinking.
And very conceptual also. Like I had a garment with a turn signal in the back, like with a remote control turn signal. Like one had a thermometer, and it was just very conceptual. Obviously, you know, you can tone it down and make it more ready to wear. But from then all summer we just bought industrial machines.
And this was all last summer.
Yes, this was last summer. And really in school, we weren't taught how to be entrepreneurs. We were taught how to go into the industry and work for someone else. Because
no one teaches you budgets and stuff like that, do they?
No.
And it's mostly like they want you to play it safe, basically.
Yeah,
it's like you just go find a job, you'll be fine. You know?
Yeah. This is your little project. We're now going to the real world. Become a buyer or whatever it is.
So starting, I mean, most brands, they outsource to other countries because it's extremely cheap to have garments made there, and then they ship it, and that's how it is. Yeah. Even like sometimes people don't design their own garments. Manufacturers are like, this is what we have in stock. Okay. Take it. And that's like a lot of the clothing stores around here. That's like what it is. So starting a clothing brand where we make all the garments, and because of COVID, I wasn't even going to mess with trying to find a manufacturer because there's like a year-long wait list at a lot of the ports. So we're like, okay, let's do it ourselves. I mean, I have all summer, so we bought industrial machines. that showed up on a semi truck in my parents' driveway. They had no instructions, none.
No,
like showed
brilliant.
up these crazy industrial machines, and I never used them before. I've just used like a regular sewing machine at school. We sewed everything, but. Yeah, so all summer was figuring how to do that. They have like motors. You have to put oil in them. Like, it is crazy.
It's a big operation.
There's this big one that sounds like an airplane every time you turn it on, because it has a big vacuum, like a vacuum in it, and it like starts sounding.
It always sounds like I'm about to take off when I'm sewing.
Well, you're also still going to school at this point.
At that point, I was. Yeah.
So you're like, I'm helping out, but I'm also got to pass my classes too. So what was your degree was still in motion picture?
Motion graphics, yeah.
Okay, motion graphics stuff. So you didn't have to worry about doing your own fashion project.
Right.
Your senior year, you could focus on doing that stuff.
I was helping her like along, I was taking this class about typography, and like there's like a music class I was taking, it was just more of like when I found time I'll help her, and mainly my big weight on Nash is the graphics. Anything graphic is like my thing. Yeah. Just recently, I've started to like push my input into the clothing. Like I'm making my own clothes and stuff.
Gotcha.
But normally I was focused on like the graphics. So if I had time, I'll like make her like a video, like an animation, to promote Nash, and some graphics on the clothes. Like I'll make him, and then we'll find a way to put him on the garments and stuff.
Right.
While she was like figuring out this big
oiling these
machines.
machines.
It was so funny. But
That's awesome. Some people might have think it should have been the other way around, right? Yeah, but I mean, with the creative side of things, I mean, that's so important now because social media is free, right? And that's the way brands are getting out there. And I know I did a podcast with the guys at 1032 Space down in Oklahoma City, and they're great. And Mike has got Zeal clothing, and he's doing good stuff with Zeal. And like, they started with that thing in social media and stuff, and that's just the evolution of it. But you've got to put out good content, haven't you? And then you back it up with great product. But you've got to get people to buy it first, haven't you?
That's complicated.
Yeah. So I guess all of last year you're working, making products, and then you launched. What was that like leading up to it?
So it was so many months of prototype. We actually just recently went through all the prototypes, and I want to make a video where I'm just putting all these clothes on because it is so rough.
It's so funny.
You have to like design the pattern pieces yourself. I had to source fabric, which is just crazy intimidating to even like, where do you start? Months and months. I have a closet that is dedicated to, I call it the Nash archive. It's really rough. It's to keep us humble. Really. And so it took 6 months. Like, I did not go outside. I worked. I mean, I love doing it, so it's not like it even felt like work. But really, all summer it was just push, and we finally were able to launch. It was December 24th, so Christmas Eve.
Okay.
We launched.
We pushed it once, right? Because we were like, we felt like we were ready, but then we're like, no, we gotta make it better. There's no way we can sell this, so we pushed it back to December, and that's when we
we just did a little capsule collection of pretty basic garments. We started out slowly.
A little bit. We got we did a website and stuff.
Sure.
And set up the store, and then that day we launched it through Instagram and letting people know that the online store was up.
And at this point, we're working out of my parents' upstairs. Which is just so much fun. It's. I mean, you get homemade lunches every day, but you have my dad coming upstairs being like, "What you doing?" Like, working, Dad.
Working again. But nothing's changed.
Exactly. I will say it is. Like doing everything in house from start to finish has been so difficult to prioritize the time. Like obviously, quality is so important if you're selling a garment. Then, like how to source fabric, then coming up with creative designs, and it's been a journey.
You've decided to launch a business in the hardest way and hardest time to get product from overseas, haven't you? Especially in the fashion industry, like everything comes from overseas for the most part. Very few things are made in America. So it's actually so many headaches, right? Like, hey, I want you're coming in totally new, totally green to it.
Exactly.
Like, oh, can I order this? And they're like, yeah, you can't get it till 2023.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's okay.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's very complicated, and that's. I mean, it's in a way it is more complicated with COVID and the fact that I had no industry experience at all, but. In a way, this has kind of been like a renaissance for certain industries, especially the fashion industry. So it got turned upside down, so we're just rolling with it.
Right.
And I mean, it's a new way to go about it. And eventually what we would love to do is start our own manufacturer here in the United States, like in Oklahoma, I mean,
that'd be awesome.
And be manufacturing our own clothes, or even offer it to other brands, because I've found with my experience, it's so complicated and difficult, and just more transparency with how garments are made, because so many people don't know how their garments are made. And the way that we do it at our little studio, like some people, they walk into our studio and they ask if the machines are decoration. Like we've had that several times. I'm like, no, this is how we make it.
It's works.
There's no like little machine, you just stick it in and it comes out. It's still like everything has to be done by primarily hand.
And like my theory is that they haven't, because like she says, we can make cars just mainly by machines. They just the machines do it for us. But clothing cannot, and I feel like it's because the whole reason of the overseas and all these people
out of sight, out of mind.
Out of sight, out of mind. It's cheaper.
Oh yeah,
they're not gonna out that like, oh, let's invest all this money into creating new machines to make clothes when like it's so cheap to just send it somewhere else, and then you send it back to me and it's already.
I mean, it's clothing, it's everything else too, isn't it? There's so much stuff that
there's so much other stuff. Yeah,
but you're right. But I think with the automating it, you are going to lose some sense of that creativity and that handmade stuff and that, like, I don't know, there's going to be ups and downs, but I'm sure being a creator and a designer, you kind of want, especially if it's limited run stuff that you guys are doing. I mean, if it's mass produced, then okay, I get it, right? Let's automate it and get it done. But if it's small stuff, like you kind of want to have that hands-on, and then it makes the product special, and then people buying it feel more special.
Exactly.
So I guess to that point, tell us about then the first like run, then the first drop, I guess. Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
Me being me being old. I say old, I'm 30.
I think that's what the kids are calling it these days.
Yeah, exactly,
It was fun. It was interesting. I feel like at first it was like friends and family.
Sure.
Let's support them.
Right, yeah.
We're trying to start
it's in the back of the closet. Like Grand's like, I'll give you some money. Here you go.
Exactly.
So honestly, the first capsule was mainly friends and family that bought it, Then later, actually what made us like the first, like that feeling of like this person that I don't know who they are, they just order clothes from us, It was actually when we started incorporating Trafford, which is Tamra's little brother, and he has Down syndrome. Well, this is complicated, but the whole thing came from another project that she started way long ago.
It's so many little elements.
So many
with
little
Nash.
elements with Nash, but I mean, she probably can tell the story. But
so it was my junior year, and we have concept classes, of course, to get ready for senior. And one of my concepts was to incorporate my younger brother into the design process because, there are certain brands that will make clothing for individuals with disabilities, whether physical or mental disabilities. So, but they're never included in the design process. And I think
normally there's brands that make clothes for them, right?
Right, yeah.
But
not, hey, we've made this with
like,
you guys.
Oh,
especially being your brother.
Yeah, so that's part of the creativity is, you're going to get something so fresh, so new. Like, the originality, like, just is unparalleled. So he makes amazing drawings. I don't know what it is. You cannot replicate it. We've tried. They're just, like, so unique. Good. So we wanted to incorporate that into the garments. And he actually will draw garments and tell us what he wants us to sew and how he wants, like, he will draw a physical garment. But he does these crazy illustrations. And so we created a collection where we incorporated them on the garments. And this was in February, so it was like about a month after we had first launched. I knew I wanted to do this collection because I came up with it junior year, and I was like, yes, we're going to do it. Then we were actually contacted by Edmond North Balto, their charity week that they do. They chose the Down Syndrome Association of Central Oklahoma, which we're close with them, with my little brother. And they wanted to do a fashion show with 21 kids, and we made every single look for all the kids, and they were wearing all of his designs on them, and it was just amazing. We're actually planning the one for this next year. But so that's really what got our foot in the door with having my younger brother incorporated.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and that goes back to what I was saying, like, well, that happened, right? And then we created TikTok, and we started like making TikToks, and then one of our first ones, or like third one, I think, was about the fashion show and how we, incorporated Trafford. Then that went viral. It's up to like 90 something K like views and 30 something like that. I don't know. It went viral.
The amazing power of social media.
Oh my gosh,
that's when we started getting orders from like random people, and like they were like supporting us.
Outside,
and, like,
all over the US.
And then they're also buying clothes from our original collection,
Right,
which
they
is
go to the
separated
site
from
and everything. Yeah.
So that's kind of how it started, like that, I guess.
I love the social media side of things like that because it's it just takes time, right?
Yeah.
With your creativity and your eye for it, and the more you do it, you get better at it.
Exactly.
And, you could put out 100 videos, and it only takes one, doesn't it, to go to get a bunch of views, and then you have orders come from it.
Exactly. No, it's pretty crazy.
Then that's when the whole us having the studio up in the
Upstairs got a little chaotic with.
And I always say the line between work and like being at the house becomes blurry.
There is no line if you work from home.
Working in my pajamas.
Yeah.
So we're like, we need this, like, we need to push it more. We need this motivation. So why don't we like look for a place?
Yeah.
Like a storefront or like a studio out of here.
Yeah.
Now that Nash was like working better, it started to like pick up, and we decided to like go look for like a place. And we've recently.
That's when it gets real, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You get the lease, and you're like, okay.
I know, and people take us so seriously. I'm like, I'm still 5 years old. Like, what's happening?
The youngest people in the building.
I have an address now. Come to the studio.
I know, it's so crazy. And so we found a place in Midtown, which is just perfect. It's really meant for startups. It's called the Make Ready Building. Okay. Really cute blue buildings, and everyone in there is just like creatives, handmade stuff. Yeah. So a lot of fun neighbors there, and like-minded people. But we are definitely the youngest ones in there, and it's funny to be seen as their peers. But
it's fun.
That's good though.
It's been great, and like the sense of community. Whenever I moved back here, I'd been gone for 4 years, so a lot of people moved on. Things kind of changed, but coming back here and starting a business like this, people are so supportive and into it, even if they're not into streetwear, even if like they would never be caught dead wearing our stuff.
That's such an American thing too, though. Yeah. You just root for people to succeed, regardless of if they're ever going to buy it or if they ever like are interested in your product. They just want to see you succeed.
Exactly.
And seeing the younger generation go for it as well, which some people don't. Some people they graduate and they do what their peers are telling them to do, and that's go be safe and go get a job.
Exactly.
So I'm sure it's awesome to see you guys like go for it. So the natural next step was for you to get a spot, and that's a huge step.
Yeah.
Right. Like
it's fast.
You got a monthly payment or whatever. That's not just. I thought about it I'm thankful that Bedfords have been gracious enough to me to give me kind of this back room, but it would be cool to have your own studio, right? Yeah. And Jared, a friend of mine who owns Lightbox OKC. Do you know Jared at all? He's a photographer. They have a fashion studio.
Okay.
And same thing with him. He was a photographer, and he's like, I need a space. And he's like, he kind of rolled the dice, and so you take that leap, don't you? It's just natural progression of being entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
What is like the kind of streetwear Oklahoma City fashion scene like? Because people probably think Oklahoma City and they don't think fashion.
No, especially not streetwear.
So what is that like?
Actually, of course, whenever I was back in high school, I was really not aware of what the OKC fashion scene was. Then I left. Now I'm coming back, but the whole vintage and repurposed, that's really in right now, and that's what we're seeing. So we're kind of stepping into that. Obviously, with COVID, people love the sweat sets.
Of course.
So so we kind of started out with the sweat sets, but now we want to incorporate other types of garments and fabric, and can be worn differently. But for sure, people are into all things vintage.
Well, and actually, I mean, not like I know because I just got to Oklahoma. But what I've heard is that it has grown. This whole, like, just like I said in Colombia, like people are more aware of
it now,
especially streetwear. And like you have people like the sneakerheads and stuff like that, like wearing those clothes, and then that gets like around, especially like Oklahoma City, that downtown. That's where you see it more. That's why we thought it'd be cool to be close there.
Downtown is awesome now. I mean, growing up, my dad worked at OG&E, which was located downtown, and he would invite us to go meet him after work for dinner, and I'd be like, oh, so boring. Like, there's nothing there. But now you come back, like Scissortail Park, all the restaurants, the cute, trendy coffee shops. I mean,
you can walk anywhere now.
Like, screw New York. I love OKC. Like,
I don't want to tell anybody about it because gotta keep it kind of
gotta keep it low key. Never mind.
Yeah, you're right though. It's and I've been here 10 years now, and it's totally transformed since then. And food's great here. You know, Midtown's growing and growing and growing, and there's still available space in Midtown if you want to have a business there. It's exciting, and it's still growing, which is the good thing. You don't want it to kind of stop and fizzle out, which I'm sure it'll stop or slow down at some point. But the industry that you guys are in, it's great to be like the newish kind of not craze,
it feels cool to be like kind of like
starting
people that are starting this, you know, the streetwear or like the fashion into Oklahoma.
Or even like the idea of a manufacturer being here.
The manufacturer.
There's definitely room for that if we were to grow into it, which I love.
Yes, definitely. There's nothing worse than being in an industry and be like, I kind of reached my ceiling already. And now you're like, there's I mean, anything is possible.
Exactly.
If you're allowed to, I guess with COVID and traveling, when that opens up, is like Fashion Week in Paris a thing? Like, do you guys want to hit that? And I mean, is that like the, you know, like the dream to head over there? Have you done that yet? Like,
no, I actually today, weirdly enough, I got an email and it was talking about like apply to be in New York Fashion Week. Yeah. It's like for small businesses. So I was looking into that.
That'd be awesome.
Actually today, but I went on a trip to Japan 2 years ago with the school.
Fashion's nuts.
Oh my gosh.
So different.
Most inspiring
anything inspired by streetwear comes from them.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Really. So really that opened my eyes. I'm like, I'm down to live in Japan. I mean, honestly, I'm down to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Being here, we've gotten so much support from everyone, so that's what makes this place so ideal. But you know, I'm down to go international. Like
that'd be really cool. And even just a trip, just to check it out
just
and
to see.
Research it. And do you think that with the store, you know, with your space that you have, are you just going to be selling Nash stuff, or are you going to be buying and sourcing other stuff as well to sell alongside it as like a store?
I feel like we're going to keep it Nash.
If anything, it'll be the opposite. We would maybe look into other
since we want to solve that whole
other people to sell our stuff.
We want to be part of like a solution. Like, And this is. Like, we get a lot of these questions and like on our TikTok especially, people saying like, why is your clothing so expensive? Like, if you guys lower the price, then more people will buy and stuff like this. But it's like, you don't understand that a lot of that clothing that you buy for $15, $10 is made overseas by people that, you know, I don't know how they're being treated. They're not getting that good paid.
You just don't have control over it.
You don't have control over that, but that's why the clothing's so cheap. And then we want to be part of that solution of like, we want to stop that. We want to be, you know, treating people right. There's a reason why our clothes are the price they are. It's not just us just being like, we make them too. So So if anything, like she said, there's more a possibility of us growing into being a manufacturer for other people than us holding clothes from other people.
Or even like having our brand located like in boutiques and stuff.
Yeah.
For sure. I guess it's just like having control over every step and kind of resetting and looking, like questioning, why are we doing things the way we do? Right. I mean, in school, they taught us that, so if you're a designer and you're part of like the prototype phase where you're designing clothes, you make the pattern pieces and everything, you send like paper pattern pieces with handwritten instructions to a manufacturer wherever they are. There's no like automatic digital thing yet, like that's used universally.
Which is mad.
It's crazy. Everybody wears
yet.
Clothing, but it's so, the fashion industry especially, like it's just so far back, and that's because it's least cost to do it the way it is now.
Right.
And I mean, you can get away with it. Why would you go spend and invest all this money whenever the way you're doing it right now is the cheapest? Exactly.
Yeah.
So even though it may, like financially, you know, it doesn't necessarily make the most sense to be trying to push the boundaries with like new technology to make fashion more sustainable, like socially and environmentally. That's what we want to do. Like look for more solutions, but also incorporate like artistic side and the handmade side and make sure everything is so quality and gonna last forever.
That's a big thing too.
That's the cool part. I feel like that's what the coolest thing about us is, that we're handmade, but our clothes don't look like a little project at home, you know what I mean? Like,
it looks like, I mean, we're all wearing stuff that we've made, Nash, but it looks like stuff
they look like, you know, they're professionally done, I feel like. They look like it, but you don't know they're handmade, and that's, I feel like it's a cool part of it.
Yeah, you're like, you made that?
Yeah.
Like, oh. Yeah, I did.
People think of handmade as like, you know, the very kind of like
rough edges.
Like, like where you take an old sheet and you turn it into like, you know, just something kind of cool, but you know.
Which for sure we want to offer, because we do have pieces. We have pieces that look like that. That is, you know, our purpose is to make them look like
repurposed.
Repurposed and stuff. But we do want to, like, you know, it's like a flex.
Sustainably made streetwear is not really.
Okay.
like more ready to wear looking, like a t-shirt that you're wearing or something. Like it's made sustainably.
Yeah.
You can verify that. I mean,
that's
I
really
sew everything.
interesting. That's really cool though, because it's so different, right? And that's kind of like, that is your thing, right? That's what you centered the brand around, and that's your truth. That's what you can tell everyone that comes in the door. It's like, this is why, and this is what we do. Here are the reasons, here are the reasons behind our brand. And there's nothing better, and you have to have a strong identity, don't you? Especially to that's one of the things you need to succeed, is knowing who you are, what you do, and the reasons behind why you do that. So now, I mean, you guys have gone like, this has happened pretty quick.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you've gone from like working at home for the entire year of last year.
Yeah.
And then now we have a space.
Yeah.
We have a store now. We
Yeah.
have these machines and everything. Like, that's pretty cool to happen in like just a short amount of time.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's really fast. I mean, looking back at it a year ago, like I would not believe that if I were to go back and tell myself, like, this is where you're going to be in a year.
Yeah.
Like we're involved in all these markets.
Yeah.
Like we're doing Herd on Herd in Edmond on Saturday, like all these different things, fashion shows, like tons of stuff that I would have never, like, just to be taken seriously, because I feel like in fashion school, I mean, it's really competitive, and it is like Project Runway, where people sometimes sabotage other people. Like, it gets feisty in there. So I didn't have that much confidence going into, like, oh yes, I feel confident to start my own business, that I can make that quality and sell it, like, in bulk even. So
even though I think the kind of streetwear fashion thing it's emerging here, it's not like established yet. The modeling scene here is. Oh yeah. Right? Like we have like a lot of great modeling agencies. Yes. So that's another good thing for you guys too. Is to, like, there is an interest in it.
Exactly.
It's here. It's just like, now we need to fill that gap and give them what they want.
Exactly.
So I guess moving forward then, now obviously you have the space, you're making garments and other ideas, and what projects are you working on? Like, what's coming next? Are you dropping anything in the fall? Like, what's the next project?
We have a few.
Are you allowed to say?
Oh yeah. I mean, we're pretty. We don't have like anyone telling us like shush. Yeah. We probably spill more than we should, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're working.
Hold you accountable.
Well, the fashion show, like with Dasco. The kids with Down syndrome and stuff. We're working on that.
We want to make it like next level. Like,
we want to make it big, so we're planning like already. We're already
sponsors, everything.
Where's it going to be?
We're actually talking about the location. We have a meeting in July to find a location, because I mean, they hold huge events all year. So luckily they have for sure that community pull. Yeah, they have that pull, and the garments we want, it's not just gonna look like typical Nash stuff. This is gonna, like, we want technology in there.
Make it showy.
Like some of them are gonna be showpieces for sure.
That's so cool.
So like light up things and
That's one of them. As far as like events, I don't feel like we want to participate in a lot of like
many markets,
festivals, markets,
to like connect
whatever
with
we
the
can
community.
to connect with people. And be like, hey, we're here, Like,
and Edmond's great for that. Herd on Herd's been
Exactly.
fantastic for that, right?
Exactly.
Like, not just having food trucks and music, it's clothing as well, which is awesome.
Yeah, just getting to meet people and talk to people and make all those connections has been amazing. But also we're trying to venture, and we've been really working on prototypes for like more diverse garments. We've been working, because like primarily it was just sweatshirts, t-shirts, sweatpants, basic stuff like that.
We call it like active streetwear, which is a mix between like clothes that you could work out in if you want to. They're comfy, you can lay in bed, you can do whatever, but they're also like style, like you can style them. But I want to venture into like more like real, not real, but you know what I mean. Like outside of the comfort of the sweatshirts, sweatpants, whatever it is. Yeah.
My wife bought a pair of sweatpants last year. I can't remember the brand, but I opened the package up, and they looked like they'd been hit with 19 million different colors. They were like bright. I mean, I was like, what are they? And she put them on. I was like, are you going out in that? And she was like, yeah. And she wears them all the time. And I'm slightly jealous. I'm just like, I wish I could pull those off. I don't think I can.
It's a look.
I was like, and like, I guess it seems like more colors coming back, tie-dye stuff's coming back, just from what I've kind of seen on social media. So that's kind of really cool to, like, like I said earlier, the great thing about fashion is there are no real boundaries.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
You do whatever you want to do. And if someone's going to buy it and someone likes the trend, then you've hit that.
Well, now even like anything goes these days, whereas there used to be a specific style. Like you can pretty much
refer to a style depending on the year.
From the like all throughout the 1900s, you can, by decade, you can pretty much like find a silhouette. Whereas now, pretty much after 2005, it's just been like you have punk, you have streetwear, you have preppy, you have all these different styles. So really, like combine it all, and I mean,
whatever day of the week you will feel like.
Exactly. So I mean, the time is now, like for people to.
It's been really cool to see. Like I'm not a huge basketball fan, but NBA players are now being like their photos as they walk in, right? Like they're all wearing, they're pushing. They're not just coming in dressed in like shorts and t-shirts. Some of them are, but then they're either in like 3-piece suits or they're in they're in like I said sweats and stuff. It's really cool to see them kind of push that as well.
Exactly.
Because everyone's watching them, and social media is great because one day someone is who has millions of followers is going to post something in one of your clothing, one of your tops, and then you're like, oh, like. That's like milestone achieved, right?
Exactly.
That's kind of like you just keep it's. I guess with social media is that kind of the primary focus to get. That's the best way with TikTok and Instagram. That's the way that you've primarily focused to getting your product and your brand out there.
Yes.
Yeah, and talking to people,
Yeah.
Or like anyone we meet, try to like shove Nash a little bit in the conversation. Oh, here's my business card.
Even my mom is crazy. Oh my gosh,
they always are, right?
She
like,
comes home.
My daughter's the coolest daughter ever. You should buy her clothes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She's like, I ran out of business cards. We're like, Mom, we gave you 100 last week. Like, what? She's like, so you need to update your website because people are asking about my earrings. Like, she's just like, I'm like, Mom, these are not for sale yet. Like, stop telling people.
Yeah, she's wearing all like
I know. All the prototypes and everything.
Stuff.
I'm like, Mom, you cannot be flexing that yet.
But it's great. I mean,
it's good to have that support.
The whole family's involved. And even, I guess we didn't mention this before, but my older sister, she's trained as an architectural engineer. She kind of did a few internships. Yeah. COVID happened. She also moved back home. She was in Dallas. Yeah. And so it's been a big mess. But she decided to come on board full time. So now she's like our in-house engineer.
Fantastic.
But she does all the fabric cutting. She's kind of taking over all our logistics, so like ordering stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the future.
And she's helped us like develop designs too.
So
she like throws us ideas. She's like, what about
bringing
this?
that architect side.
Exactly.
Right?
The whole engineering, like more analytical. Because I mean, if you left us up to our own devices, the studio would be like fabric everywhere. Like it would be a fire.
She keeps it going. That's
keeps us a little.
It's great. We needed help. Honestly, we
need that though, right? You need that, and it's every part of every person in the team does something different, right?
Exactly.
Makes it
so
work.
She joined us, so she's being like our help now, like third.
Yeah. And what does your brother think about all this stuff? Does he love it?
He comes every day. Okay, so he's like a part-time designer, like kind of celebrity. Whenever he's feeling it, we'll guest star here. But he comes every single day. We have
he wants to come to
like a little napping couch for him, and sometimes he'll take his little nap. He'll sketch there. He has a snack area. Like he loves it.
That's so good. It's so good to be like so family involved.
Yeah.
And we don't want to like overdo it to him. We ask him, "Do you want to stay home?" No, I want to go.
And also, he actually out of it. There's a coffee shop called Not Your Average Joe, which is just a few blocks. Yeah, he works.
Tim and they're amazing.
Yes, we love Tim. He just started working there. Like
really?
Last week.
Great. Because Tim has been asking me to come down recently and try one of the new sandwiches. So I have to go find out.
So good.
He just got a job there.
Yeah, he just started working there. So it's now we have to share him between Not Your Average Joe, but it's like walking distance. So we'll walk him to work and pick him up, and he comes back, and it's worked out so great.
Yeah, they do great things. Tim and Not Your Average Joe, they're fantastic. They were on the podcast. Tim was on the podcast a few months ago, and just his whole story and what they do is.
That's great.
They're doing good.
So inspiring, and how fast they've been able to grow. And I mean, they already have so many locations. They're in Homeland now. It's
awesome. We did the podcast at their Norman house, and it was really, really cool to see and meet everybody. And so cool. So for everyone listening that's been itching to go to your website and want to find out where it is that they need to go, how do they follow you? Where do they get in touch? And where can they buy your items?
Well, you can come in store in our Midtown location.
That's still weird to say.
I know, it is.
It's awesome.
Come to our studio. Yeah. It's like a studio showroom.
That's amazing, though.
So yeah, if you ever want to come try on this stuff, but everything is always up on the website, and that is www.nashengineeredfashion.com. It's kind of a mouthful. Yeah. And then our social media is _Nash Fash_.
Okay.
and we have
TikTok's the same.
Yeah, TikTok's the same, but we have a lot of QR codes everywhere, so you can just
we
scan.
try to incorporate QR codes in places.
Even on garments.
In the car, in the car, in the window, in the garments, in the business card.
It's right there. It's
anybody can like scan it and it takes you there. Yeah.
And also, we've been really getting into customized items because, like, after we kind of got our footing, we realized, okay, we can do anything. We can sew anything, any color, any fabric. So we've also been really getting into that. So if anyone has any ideas of a garment they've been wanting, like,
we're trying to advertise this whole, we're making all the clothes, so we have the power of
to do anything you
can think of.
Like,
so
sky's the limit.
We're working we want to make it more obvious on the website, like a whole section about it. Like, we're working on that, but it's something that we just started because we helped a friend, or we did this collaboration with like another friend, and
we loved it. So we want to focus on like that collaboration with people, like, oh, I have this garment, this idea, but I cannot find it anywhere. Like, come to our studio, pick fabrics with us.
They can come to studio. We have like fabric swatches. They can like look at them. We can order the fabric, make it, like have them in the process.
That's really cool.
So
like you would build a suit, or someone would have a suit, the lining or whatever.
Exactly.
It is, but with streetwear.
Exactly.
So as for now, just Instagram is like how we advertise that, the whole collaboration, but there will be a section in the future on the website.
It's exciting. I'm glad you came down. I'm glad I know a lot more about it now, and I can't wait to kind of see what happens in 6 months and a year, and in 3 years and all the rest of it, when you're someone's strutting their stuff down Paris Fashion Week or New York or whatever it is. Like, it's that's what the dream is. That's what you're working to, and it's awesome to see that passion, to see the background, with your brother, with the engineer part of your family. I love that you came here to do, the bowling brought you here. That's fantastic. That's part of your story, and you should definitely bring that in to part of the stuff. Because bowling
collection.
Yeah, why not? But thanks so much for coming down. I really appreciate it. It means a lot for you guys to come down and share your story. For everyone listening, I will put the links to all the socials and the websites. You can go check it out. And if you have an idea, for clothing that you want, but you have no idea how to make it, and you don't have those creativity juices or the way to do it like I do, reach out, because if you want some custom stuff, these are definitely the guys to go to. So for everyone listening, we'll catch you next episode. Cheers.
Thank you.
This podcast is presented by the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, telling Oklahoma story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com and follow them on Instagram for daily updates at oklahomahof. Also, huge shout out to RCB Bank for jumping on board to be a sponsor. RCB Bank's loan promotion is here for a limited time. Head into any of their 40 Oklahoma locations to get as low as 1.79 APR on your next car, boat, camper, or ATV. Apply online at rcbbank.com. RCB Bank, that's my bank. Rate and finance with approved credit. Restrictions apply. And member FDIC. Huge shout out to my sponsors. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you next episode. Cheers.
Thank you for listening. We are inspired by those around us and hope that you are too. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review so we can keep telling your stories. For more great Oklahoma content, follow This Is Oklahoma on Facebook and Instagram.